Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here on my next Star Wars Rebels episode review. This one's going to be for Season 2, Episode 4, Brothers of the Broken Horn. And I liked this episode. I thought it was really fun, but I don't think it was like a really strong episode in that sense. I feel the main thing I would say about this one is that it feels kind of mistimed in that there's so much interesting stuff that I think the show can do in this season with everything they have set up. Ahsoka, Vader's out there, the new Inquisitors they've introduced and kind of set up, potential origins for. Confirmation that we're going to get some backstory on Hera, Sabine, that sort of thing. And then for them to just kind of have this kind of little journey that Ezra goes on his own. It's just like, okay, he's our main character, it makes sense, but it felt a little forced. Like, okay, we have to have a solo adventure with Ezra. And it was good, don't get me wrong, I don't want to come across as being overly negative about the episode, but it was just kind of like, I felt it slowed the season down a little bit. Like, all of the episodes up to now have been really good, Captain Rex, the new Inquisitors and stuff like that, and then this one's just kind of like, fun adventure with Ezra and Hondo, and it's cool, worthy of an episode, but maybe not right now. I maybe would have chose to like order things a little bit differently, have this placed a bit differently. But in terms of what this episode is trying to focus on, it's focusing on this idea that Ezra is kind of being put under a lot of pressure. Now, being part of this big group where a lot of people kind of begin to depend on him, part of this unit, he now has like this Jedi training. Rex is training him in like a little bit of soldier training because he can't just be a Jedi. He has to be undercover a little bit as well and be useful in battle as part of the rebellion. Makes sense. And he also has these kind of other duties as just part of the Ghost crew. And he's just feeling a little bit kind of overwhelmed, doesn't know like, do I really want to be a Jedi? Do I really want to be a soldier or just part of the crew? I'm not sure. And so he basically takes the opportunity to go on this little kind of investigation to find out what's happening with Vizago's distress signal. And he goes to Vizago's ship and finds out that Hondo Ohnaka is there. Now, Hondo we know very well from the Clone Wars. He's definitely one of people's favorites. Kind of newly introduced characters from the Clone Wars, not in any of the movies, just introduced purely in the animated shows. And I liked him as well, just this really fun character, excellent voice for him, always had a lot of just character in everything he does, even if maybe you don't get the most like in-depth backstory on him, that sort of thing, but he's fun to have around. And this episode, as I keep saying, was really fun because Hondo was such a big focus of the episode. I'd say he, a good few years on from the Clone Wars, in and out of the universe, is just as interesting and fun, unique, funny. But I really didn't like the visual design for him that they went with for Rebels. Whatever they did, I think it barely looks like Hondo. Like, it's like, okay, same species, but whatever way the different kind of detailing on this different art style for Rebels worked out, it didn't get the Hondo design across as effectively. Yes, he's like older, of course. He's meant to be a kind of older character at this point in time, and maybe he's changed, but it seems like such a drastic departure. Like the detail count, like I felt like just went way down, especially in the facial area, to the point where I was just like, this really doesn't look like him. It sounds like him. The voice gets it across completely perfectly that you know who it is, but visually I thought, wow, I don't like this. Like even just the outfit he was wearing, I thought was really not great. Because you usually expect him to be wearing the kind of really flashy, pirate uniform and stuff like that. But here he was just kind of in a kind of just standard, space, pilot suit and just a bit meh kind of thing. But in his interaction with Ezra and then Vizago, he just came across very nicely. I like that they kind of referenced all these kind of scoundrel-like characters coming together. Ezra is kind of that style of character. Vizago we've met already. We know Hondo Ohnaka is. And then the idea that Ezra first introduces himself as Lando was really interesting because you have that Hondo is aware of like Lando kind of up and coming in the kind of smuggling world and stuff like that. Like I've heard a lot about this guy, but I've never met him before. That was interesting, but it was just this idea that ultimately what the aim of this episode was that Ezra was to some extent considering joining Hondo's crew, and you have them constantly trying to like obviously out pirate each other basically like, no, I'll get the better deal out of this and I'll steal this off you and get the advantage, and you just have them just going back and forth. He lets Vizago out, tries to make a deal, command the situation, then Vizago takes over, then Hondo takes over, and you have all this kind of situation happening, and it's fun, it's exciting. But by the end of the episode, all you get is just like, okay, I had my kind of fun mission, I've seen Hondo, and I used to be like Hondo. I did like that line at the end when he was talking to Kanan, and he was just like, I realize that I'm different now. If before, I maybe would have accepted Hondo's deal and tried to like really go heavily out there and try and out-swindle him, get the ship myself, and just be all about myself. But I'm different now in that the whole episode, Ezra was always trying to make the deal to make sure he got them more generators, because he was aware that at the start of the episode they needed to help the people on this planet by getting more energy generators. And he constantly made deals where he made it so that like Hondo's getting all of the money basically, and Ezra, all he wants is generators no matter what. So I like that clear showcase of how much he has changed in terms of his main arc, I suppose, going from being that kind of selfish person to being part of this family group right now, and just realizing that at the end that he is different than Hondo, whereas before he was quite similar, was a nice comparison. This episode also kind of resolves the whole thing about Vizago needing a favor from Ezra because of the favor he paid them. That's fine, but I just don't feel it was kind of as impactful as the other episodes. As I said, the return of Captain Rex and the new Inquisitors getting introduced, and then this was just like, okay, fun pirate adventure, really cool, but not quite on the level of the other things. So there's not a whole lot else to really talk about here. You had the idea that they set up really early on once they got to Vizago's ship, that these droids are going to be activated at some point. Like they drew such attention to it throughout the episode that something was going to happen. There's going to be a fight involving these droids at some point, and of course it happens. Hondo's blasting away at them. Ezra gets to use his blaster a bit, uses his lightsaber a bit, and the other character we also got back for one episode was I for the life of me still don't know how to pronounce his name. I remember it because it sort of sounds like my own name, Morgan, in that it's like the Morgan or something like that. But they say the first part of his name so quickly that I just end up kind of going, okay, the villain guy that kind of has my name. The big red guy, he was there, and again, trying to outswindle the pirates and stuff like that. He was the one who made the most mention of like Hondo's past, saying that he's now like a washed up pirate. There's a bounty out for him. That was nice to hear, and then especially when Ezra saved Hondo using the Force and kind of revealed that he was a kind of Jedi in training. I like that Hondo also seems to have this respect for all the Jedi that he met, and that he says that I had a Jedi friend once, and he was referring to one Jedi in particular, and I'm struggling to remember like which Jedi he had the biggest back and forth with. I think it's Obi-Wan he's talking about. I think it has to be Obi-Wan, just because Obi-Wan's the negotiator. Hondo is always trying to make these deals, and it would make sense that Obi-Wan would be the one to kind of engage him the most. Anakin, even though I think he met Anakin a couple of times, I don't think there was any sort of a friendship there. The only other character I would potentially think it was that Jedi youngling who he basically almost convinced to join him in the younglings arc, the girl. But I really don't think that was like they spent enough time together to have that sort of relationship. So I really think he was talking about Obi-Wan there. But that's about all there is to really talk about in the episode. Still, the quality of the episodes is really high. I don't think there's been like a dud episode so far this season, but this one I felt kind of just got in the way a little bit of the kind of train of really good episodes that we had going. Now, in terms of the next couple of episodes, from what I'm hearing, next episode's going to be a Hera-focused episode, which I'm really excited for, and then the episode following that is going to be a Sabine-focused episode. And so I'm hoping that we delve a little bit into their backstories to get to know them a little bit better. But either way, just an episode focusing on these two characters one after the other is going to be really good, because I think those two characters are the characters who need a focus episode the most, because Sabine especially, and even Hera, just with how secretive she was in the first season, badly needs some development time, both of them. And I do really want to get to know them a lot better. But this was an Ezra episode. It's brought up a little issue, resolved it. I don't think it's going to be a very memorable episode by the end of the season. I think it's probably the best way to describe this one. It's just like, it'll go down as just an episode of the season, mainly memorable for the return of Hondo, who I assume we'll see again at some point in Rebels. But yeah, that's been the review. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode. Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.